Yeah. So, hi everyone. My name is Lydia Jilantikiri. I'm the founder of Lilyville Educational Consultancy. It's a social enterprise that I started was it in 2019? Yeah, basically to I think for students that know me and not from uni learning and possibly people that know me beyond, I'm always passionate about guiding young people and talking about career, helping make informed career choices, and intentional about the personal and professional development of young people. So, Lilyville Educational Consultancy, or I'll try to speak slowly because we have a diverse audience. Lilyville Educational Consultancy was started to just have a structured platform to help bridge that gap and all that I saw. And professionally, I studied for a bachelor's of engineering degrees in medical engineering, and I also have a master's of science degrees. Both of them were in the University of Bradford in the UK, and I'm currently studying for a PhD in biomedical engineering at the University of Glasgow. So, yes, I'm in the field and I know some of the experiences that we face as biomedical engineers, being a very highly multidisciplinary field. And the thing is, the more knowledge that we have and share, the more opportunities that we get to develop ourselves. So part of what I do also in the Lilyville Educational Consultancy, and we're going to put it on the website, is just to have a BME corner. I'm planning on doing more things that will bring people in BME to talk about their careers, to talk about different opportunities, so that we'll get to just improve the lot of our field and network with each other. So yes, that is it. About me, I've also lectured in Nigeria at the University of Ilorin for 5 years before I went on staff development leave. So yeah, happy to say that all the speakers were my former students. And yeah, it's such an honor and such a delight to see transition of people starting from their first year being graduates, building up their own professions, and still keeping in touch with me because they could have decided that they have left. They don't have anything to do with me. But when I asked them for favors like this, can you come and talk? They gladly obliged. So I'm really, really grateful to them. So thank you. We do have a YouTube channel. That's what it's called. And there are two videos on the channel. One of the videos is what will I tell my younger self? And in it, we had four students who had studied biomedical engineering in Nigeria, all from the University of Ilorin, reflecting back on what they would have done based on the knowledge and all that they know now. Taufik here was one of the speakers. We have Aminat, who is currently doing a PhD at Cornell University in the US. We have Ayomide, who is also doing a PhD in the same university that Taufik is at now, Emory and Georgia Tech, a joint PhD. And then we have Mofe, who studied biomedical engineering as an undergraduate, but she did her master's, I think, in software engineering or computer engineering. So she changed and all. But yeah, that recording is available on the YouTube channel. So you can watch it and learn from tips, people that have been in positions that you've been in, reflecting back and seeing what could they have done better, and seeing that, as I said, you do like a skills gap analysis. This is where you want to be, but this is where you are. So if this is where you want to be, what steps do you need to take? What skills do you need to have to be able to fill that gap that you have now? So yeah, that's the purpose for all these webinars and all this training. So enough of me talking about myself. I'm going to introduce our guests now. I'm going to start from the um last to the first. And what I mean by last is the person that speaks first now would be the last speaker. And also I'm going to start by introducing Nasser and then Prosperity and um Taufik. So Taufik will start the session speaking first. So yes, Nasser, can you please tell us about yourself, and then the others will tell us about themselves, and then we'll go straight into the session.
Hi everyone. My name is Nasser, and I like should I say Dr. Jilantikiri? Um, like she said, she was a mentor and lecturer from the University of Ilorin, where I finished. I did my undergrad in biomedical engineering, and yeah, and currently I'm pursuing my master's in biomedical engineering under the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. Yeah,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. Prosperity, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, good evening or good afternoon or morning, whatever it is where you are. My name is Prosperity. I was also a student of engineering theory. We call her engineering. I graduated from the University of Ilorin last year. I studied biomedical engineering as well. So I'm currently pursuing a master's in neuroscience and artificial intelligence, neurodata, Erasmus Mundus. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Miss J. Everybody calls me different names. Voila. Yes, and Taufik, introduce yourself to us.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. I mean, I don't know why the West refused to show their face, but yeah, here's my face. So I'm Tofik. I also did my bachelor's from the University of Ilorin. Miss J was our level advisor from start to finish, so we are very familiar with each other. I did the Erasmus Mundus program also in medical imaging and application. I'm done now, and I'm currently doing my PhD. In Georgia Tech and Emory University in Biomedical Engineering here in the US. So yeah, yeah.
Great. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. I can see some familiar names in the chat. Quadri. No, we had a Salim, but I don't know if it's the other Salim. This one is different. So yes, Taufik, you're going to kick off. So each speaker is going to have 20 minutes to talk about different aspects of the Erasmus Wonders application. There will be a session on writing letters of recommendation, statement of purpose, um, references, is it references and visas and all of that. So if you have any questions about any of the aspects that relates to the application forms, everything, we're going to cover it, please write it in the chat, or you could let us know, and at the end when we have a Q&A session, we're going to ask the speaker. So you can ask the question generally and any speaker would answer it, or you could direct your question to a specific speaker. So yes, feel free to do that. Hi Habib, can see my biomedical children, as somebody calls it. So yes, we are going to kick off with Tawafik, and you have 20 minutes, please. So yes, let's hear. You're muted, Albert.
Oh no way. Okay, so hope you can hear me now. Uh yeah, thank you for calling me back because I was almost done with the session before I realized I was okay. So yeah, I'll be talking about the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship application. So basically my session is more of an overview. I'm very fast, but you can always call me back if I'm too fast. So my session is basically more of an overview of the application. So especially for those who don't really have idea of the application, but if you have idea of the application, you can still hang around. You might find some useful tips. Who knows? So yeah. So generally, I should say, are you all ready? Just by now, once you make up your mind to apply for the scholarship, just start packing your load as well, and that's where the journey starts from, right? So so what are the necessary things you look at when you apply for the Erasmus Mundus scholarship? So the first thing is you have to select a program that you want to apply to, which you are going to get into as quick as possible. So there are certain things you look at before selecting before selecting your program. The first one is your interest, what you're interested in. The second one is your undergraduate background. What is your major? Because Erasmus is very program specific. So if your major is not related to a program, you might not want to apply to that program. And lastly, your skill set. Which program do you have the highest set of skill set? So if you want to apply for the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, the first thing to do is to look for the program you want to apply for. And doing this is you have to search for the Erasmus Mundus catalog. So we are going to do that briefly. So for those who haven't selected their program, it's very simple. So this link on the slide will take you to the Erasmus Mundus catalog, or you can just type it on Google, Erasmus Mundus catalog, and then it will take you to this page, right? So if you scroll down this page, you're going to see the list of available Erasmus Mundus programs you can apply to. Currently, we have about 209 programs available. So let's say, for example, I'm from biomedical engineering, or I'm from engineering background, right? So, and I don't know any program yet on the Erasmus, but I want to apply for the scholarship. So the first thing you do when you come to this catalog is scroll down. You see this filter by. So you can use it to filter the program to your specific need. So what I always advise people to do is don't touch anything, just come to field of study, then select your field of study. Let's say I'm from engineering background, so I'll select information science and engineering. You can select multiple fields from here. So once you select this, you click on search. Another thing you can do is this year of project selection, you can also come, since we are currently um in 2024. So for year of project selection, you can select 2023, 2024, and even 2022. So the year of project selection is just simply the year they were issued the scholarship, right? So you can select this and then you click on search. So generally you can see you have 20 programs in your search. So you can now look at each of these programs to decide which one is most you are more interested in. If you are somebody who is interested in renewable energy, you can check this to know more about it. But what's more important when you apply to Erasmus Mundus Scholarship is that each of these programs are independent of each other. So which means you can apply to as many programs as possible. But I mean, you have to keep it small for you to put in your best of application. But there's no rule that you cannot apply to as many programs as possible. So you can choose to apply to this program. If your background also fit this, you can apply to this program. So if you're applying, the first thing to do is, let's take, for example, I discovered that this Master of Science in Imaging and Light in Extended Reality, I like the program. I just have to click on it. So if you click on it, it takes you to a website. This website is designed for the program itself. So which means for every program you want to apply to, it has their separate website for you to apply. So all you have to do is go to their individual website and apply to it. So you can see the website of this. All the information you need about this very scholarship is still part of Erasmus scholarship, right? All the information you need about this is here, including the document you will need to apply. The same thing with if you click on other courses. Well, that's the main thing about the catalog. It's pretty basic and fundamental. So let's not waste time on that. So that's how you look for the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship you want to apply to, and put in mind your interest, your undergraduate, and your skills while you pay for that. So now, what are the commonly required documents and general tips while applying for the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship? So the first thing is your international passport, which I mean, any scholarship at all apart from the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, your international passport is very important. The next thing is your certificate and transcript. I mean, you could see that I put emphasis on your grade. So I'll talk about the grade briefly. So there are a lot of people that will usually ask me that if I don't graduate with a first class or the highest degree, does that mean I don't have a chance of getting the Erasmus Mundus scholarship? So if you graduate with a very good CGPA, it's very good and helpful. So if you are currently in your undergraduate, you should work on improving your CGPA. However, if you already graduated, you already have your CGPA. So what that simply means is that you cannot change your CGPA anymore. So the grade is already there. You can't change it. But there are a lot of things you can change, like your work, your skill set, your research experience, and bunch of other things, right? So one general rule about scholarship is that it's a holistic review. There is no one marker will not give you the scholarship. Just because you have high CGPA doesn't mean you will get the scholarship. The same way, just because you have a particular part of your application is good doesn't mean you get the scholarship. So it's a holistic review. If your grade is bad, that doesn't mean you cannot still get the scholarship, but you generally have to make sure you are on top of your game, right? So you have to have relevant research experience, You have to build yourself. So I have a couple of friends that did not graduate with first class that won the scholarship as well. However, most people that usually get the scholarship graduate with a first class. So that I just want to put that out there. So your grade is important. However, you don't have to graduate with a first class to win the scholarship. I also know somebody that graduated with a 2-2 and still won the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, though he had a 5-year work experience. So there are no one way to this, right? So if your grade is bad, it's okay. Just work on the other part of the application, and I think you are generally good. Then you have the Europa CV. Scholar Nassi is going to talk about the CV. Then we have the letter of motivation. Scholar Prosperity will talk about this. These two sections of the application are very, very important. So they usually carry a lot of marks. So we talk about that. Sorry, who is that? So yeah, then we have letter of recommendation. This letter of recommendation is a part a lot of people usually don't pay much attention to, and it carry a lot of marks. So I'll talk briefly about it. So for a letter of recommendation, it is issued for you by your undergraduate lecturers or where you work, but it has to include your undergraduate, at least one of them have to include your undergraduate lecturers. And this goes a long way in talking about your relationship with them. So I think since Ms. J, I mean the organizer of this webinar is a lecturer and she was our lecturer. I think she can probably give us like maybe few minutes idea about the importance of recommendation letter and relationship with your lecturers, because trust me, if you want to have good recommendation letter, you have to have good relationship with your lecturer. So Ms. J, can you please tell us a little bit about this from lecturer perspective before we continue?
Afik, you caught me off guard. I thought that I was going to do that. But I've submitted over 100 recommendation letters so far. And one pattern that I can say on behalf of students, one generic pattern that I could say is for different schools in different areas. One of
I don't tired. After that, what's it called? I'm stuck.
Is that from me?
Not from you, Con.
I muted it. Okay. So what I can say is usually when they what they ask for is how you know the student, for how long you've known the student for, and in what capacity. So let's say Taufik. I knew you were since from 2017. Is it? Taufik? I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, 2016.
Okay,
Yeah.
2016. So if I'm writing a letter of recommendation from Taufik, I'll be like, I write this letter of recommendation on behalf of Taufik Suleiman, who is applying for a master's or PhD in biomedical engineering at the University of XXX. I knew Taufik since 2016 when he was studying as an undergraduate student at the University of Ilorin. Then, in what capacity? If I was his lecturer, I would say I taught him these courses, and I'll mention the courses where he got what grades. If I didn't teach him a course, but maybe I was his level advisor, or in his case, I was both, then I will write both. So that's how usually I write my recommendation letters. Then in the second block of paragraph, you write about the person. Are they diligent? Are they helpful? And also on one side, you amplify their good characteristics, especially those that are the features that are suited for them that would put them in a good light for the program. But a lot of recommendations, they also ask that you highlight the weaknesses, so you don't you put weaknesses, but the way that you put the weaknesses is you don't put it in a way that puts the student at a disadvantage. You put it in a way that maybe the student has that self-awareness, and the student knows that maybe this is a problem area, and they seek for help. Let's say, for example, the student struggled with something and maybe had approached you out of class to ask for tips or more resources on that. So you do also highlight some weaknesses because some would ask for that, but then you always try to put it in a positive light. So I will share the features of the student, their diligence, and all of that. And usually, when students ask me for a reference, I ask for their career plans, ask for their statement of purpose, and ask for other things that I can't really remember now. Okay, yeah, I asked for maybe community or volunteer experiences, because a lot of the scholarship, they want to see that you're committed to making a change and a difference in the communities and all that you're in. So if you were involved in some voluntary role in campus, maybe you mentored students or you helped out or you served in any capacity and all, I mention it. And one thing that that does is they show your ability to sort of prioritize and handle multiple things. Because if you get good grades and you're still giving back to the community, then they usually like people with a leadership spirit and making an impact and making a difference. So it shows you're not a self-centered person, that even though you're good as a person, you're also contributing to your community. So if you're not doing any leadership or voluntary role and all of that, please pick a few. It's an opportunity for you to develop your leadership skills, and you don't have to be the president or something to be a leader. You could be the welfare secretary, but just contribute to a cause that is beyond you. So I'd mention that, and mention organizations that maybe they're served in. And usually when I mention that in the recommendation letter, they can always check the student CV to see that the student has that. Please do not lie. If you do not do something, don't do it. Don't mention it. Please do not lie. So I'll mention that. And I'll also, oh, one thing that I forgot to mention, I'll mention things that the student has done that are related to the program. Let's say, for example, somebody is applying for like Prosperity applied for neurodata, right? And the reference that I wrote for her, she's done some remote thing in neurodata in the US. So I mentioned that. I think she did some courses on Coursera and mentioned that. So you're also putting the person in a good light, that even if our curriculum does not give those particular skills that are needed for that program, but if that person has gone ahead and learned and acquired those skills that are relevant for that, you also mentioned that, and that all usually corroborates to the CV, because they're going to check that. And so yeah, what did I mention? Oh yeah, and how you knew the students. And I will say, in building relationships with your lecturers and all, I would say start early, right? Don't be patronizing, because depending on the kind of class that you are and the size of the class, lecturers may not know all of you. So things that can sort of put you an edge is just, maybe it's just saying hi to the lecturer. If the lecturer has a couple of things to do that you could assist, you could do that. You could seek the lecturer for advice, or I'm thinking of doing this, or what do you say? That way you're building a relationship with the lecturer beyond the classroom. Because when it comes to writing references, you want it, personally, I want to write a reference as detailed as possible. And if I don't know the person, it's difficult. Some people that somebody reached out to me asking for a reference, and I'm like, I don't even remember who you are. I can't do that because I'm staking my name on that reference. So begin to build it. And usually, one person that I usually say should be one of your referees is your project supervisor. Because with standard courses, you come to class, you do what they listen to lectures, you write exams. You may not have a feedback kind of relationship with the lecturers, but with your supervisor, you would do why you take a piece of write up, you brainstorm on ideas, and also I would say your project supervisors. But it's possible that you may not build a relationship with them, and that's okay, because the dynamics are not always set in stone. But ensure that within uni you have one or two lecturers that you try to develop a relationship with and let them know you. And beyond uni, try and keep in touch with them and say hi. Don't go on a 3 or 5 year gap and just say, oh, hello, do you remember me? I promise you, we have lives, we have many things that we're doing, and recalling who you are in detail is not the top of our priority. So please sort of make an effort. And all, when you're sending maybe a message, try to give them context of who you are to remind them, because they have a lot that they're doing also with their lives. So, and when you go to intern at a place, I know in Nigeria we have the 3 month SIWS and the 6 month SIWS. Do a good job, because the person who is your supervisor or the person that you report to in your workplace can also write a reference for you. So in case you only have one academic that can vouch for your academic ability and you need another referee, a person that can serve as your referee is also maybe the person that you intend under. So don't say that, just sideways, we just need you to take a register. Wherever you are, let your work and your track record speak for itself. So with US schools, I think they usually need like 3 references, but UK and Europe, I think is usually 2. But try and build a rapport with at least 2 of your lecturers during uni. And it's not hard. Sort of study their personality, ask for help, and just be helpful. Don't be distractive in class and expect them to write a glowing letter of recommendation and all for you. And also, when you're asking for that, try to kind of find the personality that they are. There are some that would say, write a draft and give it to them, and they will correct it. That's okay. There are others like me. I do not want you to write a draft for me. If I've agreed to write a reference for you, I will do it myself. It puts me off when you be like, oh, here's a template. I'm just like, no, if you want to write one for yourself, go ahead and write. If I agree to write it, I'll ask you to provide me for some information. So people, there are some that they're happy with you giving them a draft and you put in their name. People like me, I'd have to know you to write a reference and all for you. And you can work with people in various capacities. I've written a reference for a student that has served with me as a mentee, but in the uni that I teach in, although I didn't lecture her, but because of the kind of work that she did for an outreach that we were having, I was able to write a detailed reference for her. So a reference can also come from maybe a staff member that is overseeing a voluntary organization that you are serving in. So okay, so lecturers, but you definitely have to build a rapport with at least one academic lecturer if you want a letter of recommendation in academia. Somebody said, the only lecturer I have a relationship with is my project supervisor, but I need another, and I'm wondering if one from the current founder of my place of work would work in the role. Yes, I believe it should. I believe it should. It depends on what they wrote. If are they asking for 2 letters of recommendation from academics? So just tend to clarify that, but it just shows you that as we grow in life, our relationships in different levels, those above us, our peers, and those below us matter. So if you're somebody that maybe is in your shell and you think I don't need to talk to anybody, I just need to work hard. No, as you're growing up in your career, you need a network of people. So yeah, begin to intentionally build. If you're an introvert, you can do things to come out of your comfort zone and build a rapport with your potential referees for the future, because you will need letters of recommendation. Okay, I've taken all of Tawafik's time. But yeah, Tawfik, you can go back.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, that's really good. Trust me, it's exactly what I want, and there's no way I could have said it better because I mean, I'm somebody that have applied to a lot of school. Like I've applied to more than 30 scholarships that require my lecturer submitting recommendations. So that's a lot. And I have a lecturer that submitted all the 30 for me, right? So, and trust me, the relationship, like that's a lot of work. So the relationship matters, right? So when for those that have not graduated, your current supervisor, like my LA said, is very, very important. You have to like um have built that relationship with them. And even the relationship should go just beyond after graduation. You should be able to keep in touch with them genuinely. They should also know your progress till after you graduated and all, and you wouldn't have a lot of problem with recommendation later. Thank you very much on emphasizing that. And okay, so I'll continue um, and wrap this up. So the next thing is the certificate of residence. So this is a very important document that a lot of people usually ask that how do I get this? The reason is because certificate of residence is more peculiar to Erasmus than any other scholarship, right? So a lot of people usually ask, what can I use for certificate of residence? So basically, if you are from Lagos, people always ask this. There is a certificate called LASRA or something that can they use it. To be honest, most Erasmus programs we reject that later, so you might not want to use it. But however, what you can use, what you can use, for example, is a letter from your workplace to say that okay, you are currently working here, you have been working here for the last 12 months, a letter from your school if you are still in your undergraduate, or a letter from your local government. I usually advise people to just get a letter from their local government. So I'll show you a sample of what it looks like. So this is a letter that I got from my local government. Don't mind the name of the local government, but the content is more important. So even if you go to your local government and you are told that they don't know about the letter, all you have to do is to tell them what the letter is about. They just have to state the fact that you are from that local government and this is where you live. So that's general. So this is an example of certificate of residence that I use, and a lot of people have used something similar that works. So just go to your local government, tell them about it. Some local governments already have it. Please, this is different from your state of origin, so you should also take note. So the letter have to mention specifically the address where you live. You can see this is to certify that this is my name. It's a resident of, I block it. So my address is here where I come from. So the letter, the most important thing is that the letter has to carry the address where you live. So this is a simple template of a certificate of residence. Then we can go back to it. So, and how you can get it basically. Then the next thing is to English proficiency. So a lot of program in Erasmus require you, because it's in English, require you to submit English proficiency letter, either TOEFL or IELTS. However, since Nigeria, for those from Nigeria, since Nigeria is mainly English speaking for sure, and the universities are generally in English, so the medium of instruction is in English. So they also allow you to collect letter of English proficiency from your undergraduate. However, not all program will accept this. So you have to check the program you're applying to. Most biological science related program most of them usually require you to submit the standardized English test, and we know waive it for Nigerian, but you have to check to be sure. So if your program allow letter of medium of instruction from your undergraduate degree, you can collect it from the school. Different school has different procedure, but for Unilori, you apply online, you make payment, and then they'll send it to wherever you want them to send it. This is an example of what English proficiency certificate generally look like. This was the one that I used for my Erasmus Mundus application. I got it from the University of Illinois. So it's just an evidence to say that yes, English was my medium of instruction. As you can see here, he is therefore proficient in English language. So yeah, that's basically what English proficiency document is all about. Then let's go to the final phase. And then we have travel costs and the finance. So if you apply for the Erasmus, a lot of people might not know about this. So if you are offered the scholarship, you have to prepare for your travel, and this includes the finance, what you spend to travel, right? So Erasmus is not going to pay you any money before you travel. And even now, there is no more travel allowance except you are in old program, which most of the old program are already over. So Erasmus will not pay you anything to cover your travel cost. So you have to put that cost by yourself. So most of the time, I mean, when I was traveling during my time, I was going to France anyway. So I generally spend somewhere between around 2 million as the travel, but it was returned to me anyway. So right now, since
2 million, what currency, just so that people have it?
Oh, sorry, 2 million naira. That's around maybe around $1,200, right? Yeah, I mean plus or minus. So around $1,200. So yeah, so generally, but that's from Nigeria, right? So it's different country, different travel policy. But where you spend most of the money is simple. As an Erasmus scholarship holder, you don't have to pay for the visa fee. So the visa fee is covered. You just have to tell them. Where you spend most of the money is your flight ticket, and also the money you need to buy whatever stuff you need. Maybe it could be food stuff, it could be clothing, wherever it is, to get you there, and also the money you keep when you resume there, because they are not going to pay you immediately you arrive. So most depending on the program, they will probably pay you a month after, that is towards the end of the month, depending on the program. So you need some money to survive before then, and also accommodation, because you have to pay the rent for where you are going to be staying for that first month, that they are not going to be paying you scholarship in the first month, right? So you have to find a way to pay that rent. However, if you're able to find your way to pay all this, by the time the stipend started coming, everything will be fine for you. The current stipend for the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship is 1,400 euros per month, which is a pretty good money for the program. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, it's a good money. But if you're Nigerian, please don't convert that money to naira because you'll not be spending it in Nigeria. So yeah. So that being said, I think that's like the key things about the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, basic things. So for the things like CV and letter of motivation, scholarship and prosperity, we take you through on how to go about that. Thank you.
Can we see some virtual hands for Taufik, please? Like, can you do some emojis and all? That was very thorough. That was thank you so much, Taufik. Please, can we have some reactions, some emojis to appreciate Taufik? He's really shared extensively. So yes, do not forget, if you have questions, please keep them or begin to write them. There's Salim. I didn't even know that Salim was an Erasmus scholar and he's there answering questions and also that's fantastic. Please drop your questions as you go, even in the chat. There will be people that will respond to you. And if it hasn't been treated, you can just flag it to us and we'll treat it at the end during the Q&A session. So thank you so much, Tawfiq, for sharing.
I'm not sure
Yep.
the Selim here is the Selim that is the Erasmus scholar. I'm not sure.
Salim Kayode Lawal.
Yeah, he's the Erasmus scholar. Is he here?
Yeah, he is. He answered the question to Chidinma. Yeah. That's
okay.
right?
Yeah,
I think I remember him,
yeah, he's the one then. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. It's nice to see you, Salim. It's been a while. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tawfiq. We really appreciate you. See you in a bit. So our next speaker would be Prosperity. Prosperity, where are you? Do you wanna come on?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Do you want to share your slides?
Yeah. Hi, so my name is Prosperity, and I'll be talking about writing SOPs and acing standardized tests. This is the outline. We talk about what an SOP is, how to write a good one, and the acceptable standardized tests for Erasmus scholarships. Okay, so first off, an SOP is basically your opportunity to help the admissions committee, which is basically people in charge of admissions, understand like your professional background, your educational background, in order for them to determine if you're a good match for the program that you're applying to. So it's an SOP is super important because a lot of the other documents that you'll be submitting for your application tell your story from the perspective of other people. So for instance, your recommendation letters tell your story from the perspective of your lecturers or people from your workplace. But the SOP gives you a chance to tell your own story in your own voice. So you get to explain things that maybe you can't clarify in your CV or any of the other documents. So the goal of your SOP is to make the admissions committee understand that you have a solid background and some experience in your area of interest, and also that you will be successful in the program that you're applying to. So I put some typical prompts, like typical ways in which typical ways you could see SOP prompts in an Erasmus Mundus program website. So the first is asking for a compelling letter of motivation, no more than 500 words, and you should talk about your interests in the field and your reasons for selecting a particular track. While the second one is asking that you should demonstrate your academic and professional background and talk about your project. So the point here is that the prompts would differ for different programs, and different programs would also ask for different things. So this first program is asking that you don't write more than 500 words, and it's also particular about your reason for selecting a particular track, because this program has multiple specializations under it in the second year. So you'd have to choose a specialization and also explain why you're choosing it. Then the second program is saying 1,000 words max, and you should particularly talk about a project that you've done relating to that field. So the prompts will differ for different programs. So a couple of questions you would want to answer or ask yourself and answer before you start. That would, because these points would eventually come up at some point when you're writing your SOP, your statement of purpose. So you'd want to know who you are, not just like not like point of your existence per se, but like who you are professionally and the experiences you've been through that have gotten you to this point, and how those experiences have also contributed to your growth as a person. And then why you want to go to graduate school, and in particular, why you want to study a particular program. Like, what would getting that degree, that master's degree, do for you? Also, where do you want to be in a few years? Because usually you'd have to write about your short and long term goals or something along that line. So do you want to say continue in academia, get a PhD? Do you want to go to industry? So you have to decide what you want to say in your essay or what you actually want to do, and then how are you going to get there. Sometimes you like want to write some sort of like steps to get to where you want to get to. Of course, things might not always go exactly how you say they should or they will, but you for instance, you could just say, okay, after this degree, I want to work in an organization like Google or Nvidia, and then later I want to get a PhD, something like that. So you should have like at least a vague picture of what you want your future to be like. So how do you write a great SOP? Like the basic fundamental tips is that first off, you have to use formal language. It's an academic document. It's a professional document, so you have to use formal language. Doesn't mean it should be boring. You can use formal language and it would still be interesting. So yeah, use impact statements. So this is an example of a sentence before and after using an impact statement by the right. So before the person said I led a team to organize a community outreach program. But if we rewrite it with like impact in mind, it could become I coordinated a team of 15 volunteers to deliver health education at a local clinic in the Asa community of Kwara State, Nigeria, reaching over 300 people and increasing clinic attendance by 25%. So basically, you want to focus not just on what you did, but on the reason why you did it, the impact that you had. Don't just state accomplishments or activities like vaguely or just passively. Explain why, like every sentence matters. So don't just put a sentence there, I did this. Just you try to connect it to the outcome of what you did or a reason behind why you did it. Also, you should try to tell a story. We're humans and we love stories. So and you should also bear in mind that a lot of the people who read these essays are going to read a lot of essays. So you have a higher chance of your essay standing out if you tell a story that captivates the person reading it. You should also use the STAR method, that's situation, task, action, and results. So I think it's also related to impact statements. Don't just state something that you did. Try to make it into a try to put in some flow and make it into a kind of story. Like this was the situation, and then I did this. I took this action, and these were the results that came out of it. We'll see some examples later. Okay. Sorry, one moment. Okay. Address oddities. For example, if you have like a low CGPA or a low score in a test, although I won't advise, like if you take maybe an English proficiency test and your score is low, if you don't have like if you have an alternative, like maybe getting a letter from your school, then maybe you should do that. But if you have no alternative and you have to use the low test score like that, you might want to chip in a thing or two explaining, not like giving excuses, but sort of giving a background about why your scores are low or why your CGPA is low or why you have a gap in your resume. Also, you should seek review and feedback from people. Don't just like write the essay once and submit it. That's usually not a good idea. I mean, even if you're a really good writer, there's just a high chance that you miss something. So you want like 2 or 3 people to read it and give you feedback. and it should be people who you feel would have a good perspective about what you're expected to have in a statement of purpose, not just any random person. So quick exercise, I would want two people to read this and tell me if they think this is an effective first paragraph. Like real quick, 1 minute. So you tell me if it's an effective paragraph and why you think it's effective. You can unmute if you're done because I can't see the chat.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I do think it is an effective paragraph because the
Okay.
person has a sense of purpose, why they are undergoing this degree and the impact they are trying to make in their own immediate community.
So you think it is effective?
Yes, I do think it's effective.
Okay, good. Thank you. Love it. You're raising your hand.
Okay, for me, I think the person started very well, but the talking about the problem, right? Let's say talking about their personal story at the start is very good, but they use too many words for that, right? And not just that, they were not able to effectively tie it with the program that they're trying to study, like, oh, this thing happened, how did it affect me? And how does it affect me, spur me to actually want to study, this program, right? And I feel the number of words that they use, it's really too much. And there would have been a better way for them to like shorten it while at the same time still telling the same story.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very interesting insight because actually the edited version of the essay is longer than this. So yeah, that just proves why you have to have people review your essays because you get like different opinions that will give you different insights into things that you could add or remove. You can't incorporate all of the changes or all of the corrections, but at least if you go through most of them, you'd have like a much better essay at the end. So yeah, this essay is not bad. Like it's okay. The person links it to a personal story and then said why they're interested in doing what they want to do. But it's not very specific, especially like in this part of the world, we tend to sort of tie trauma and poverty a lot to our essays. And I feel like it's sort of cliche now. So like a lot of grad school essays have like something relating to someone died, there was a problem, things like that. So you want it to sound authentic. Like even if you're using something like that, you should put enough details so that it doesn't sound like it's made up. Like you really don't want to be telling the truth and have people thinking or have the admissions committee thinking you just made up a story to get into the program. So this is like an edited version. It's a bit more specific because she gave the year the incident happened. She listed like the number of people who died, or like before she just said loss of lives, but now she was specific, 20 people died. Another thing the person could have done would have been to put like the exact name of the hometown. So for instance, if someone randomly decides to Google it, okay, this hometown was there flood in 2018, and they see that, oh, that actually happened. It gives more credibility to your story. Also, them in this corrected version, there's like a better job linking what happened to the reason she is interested. She didn't just passively say, okay, I'm going to try. Like I think in the previous slide, she was like, I hope to further explore this area in grad school, particularly packaging. But here she was like, okay, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to contribute to the development of climate-friendly packaging materials through innovative material science research. Also, she sort of passively, this is like kind of a trick people use in like writing essays where you passively state an accomplishment instead of outrightly like writing it. So instead of saying, I graduated with a first class degree, she said, with a first class degree in chemistry and extensive research experience in polymer science. So it's like it's sort of thing where instead of expressly stating your accomplishments, you like passively put it as part of a sentence. Obviously, everybody would still know she has a first class degree without her dedicating a whole sentence to saying, I had a first class degree. So yeah. Okay, so extra tips. The first, I think the most important is that you should not just go through the program's website. You should take your time to study it. Usually there are like details in the website that you might not notice. Like if you go over the website the second time, you would notice things you did not notice the first time. And usually a lot of those tips are what would help you sort of determine what to add to your essay. Also, you should pay attention to the essay prompt because there are situations where in the essay they tell you to state if you're applying for the scholarship or not. And so if you miss that and you just focus on, okay, my professional experience, my research experience, and you don't state that, oh, I'm actually applying for the scholarship, they could just assume that you're applying to be self-funded or something like that. So also pay attention to the essay prompts, how it was written, the exact things that they said should be added, you should add them. And use an effective hook in the introduction, try to tell a story in your introduction so it's like interesting. Personalize your essay for the program. Don't just make a generic essay to use for all the programs you're applying to. You should point out specific parts that interest you. Again, going back to the website, because you have to take your time to study the website. You could even like go as far as going through the schools who are going to be hosting the program. You can find a list of professors. Everything you need is usually on the website or connected to the website. So just do a lot of research before you start writing. And then emphasize your technical skills and any projects that you've done related to the program. That's important. And then if you're applying for an interdisciplinary program, if you it's important for you to reference any work or study experience you have that cuts across disciplines, because a lot of Erasmus programs are interdisciplinary. You could see programs like law and AI, things like that. So you would have to sort of emphasize experiences you have that cut across disciplines, because it shows that you have the experience and the requirements to go through like random sort of opposing lectures and still figure things out. Okay, more tips. Adhere to the word limit. There are some situations where maybe in Word you've written 500 words, but when you copy it and paste it in like a website that counts words, it could end up being 501. So to be safe, you should probably be like 2 words below the specification. So if it's 500 words, you write like 498. If it's 1,000, you should have like 998 words. Any foreign experience you have could give you an edge. For some programs, they like to take on people who have a lot of experience, say moving across countries or working in a country that's not theirs, because they feel you would interact better with other international students. So for my program particularly, it was like that. At the interview, they asked specifically if you have any foreign experience, which also means that if you're still doing your bachelor's, you should probably try to get as much experience as possible. If you see any remote internship or something like that, you should apply. It could give you an edge. Also write about what makes you unique, and how you can contribute, which also important because that's sort of what will make your essay stand out. If you write things that are not very conventional, makes it interesting, makes you stand out. Also pick a study track that aligns best with your academic background. So for programs where, say, first year is general, second year you pick a specialization, you should, okay, say if the second year there are like specializations, you should pick a specialization that aligns best with your academic background, because it means you'll be more likely to get in. Also, even if you're interested in another specialization in the program, there's a high chance that you'll be able to switch later on. So for the application, it's safer to just stick to the specialization that aligns best with your background. Include numbers and statistics where applicable. And lastly, don't use AI to write your essay. AI has not experienced your experiences, so it cannot do a better job than you, to be honest. So just take your time, think about your experiences, write it out, write your essay, and then you can fine tune it with AI or something. But don't write your essay with AI. Okay, so quickly moving to standardized tests. Scholar Taufik has already talked about a bit about it. So basically, English proficiency tests are required for some programs. Some programs will allow you to use a letter from your school if your bachelor's was in English, but some insist that you have to have some form of standardized test. So the two options are TOEFL, test of English as a foreign language, and IELTS. A few programs I have noticed will allow you to use GRE, but it doesn't make sense to write GRE just for Erasmus. But if you already have a GRE score that is valid, you should email the program to ask them if you could use GRE, because GRE has like a verbal reasoning and writing section, so that could serve as a proof of English proficiency for some programs. So again, you have to check the website or email them to confirm. Just a quick breakdown of TOEFL IELTS. Grading system for TOEFL is 0 to 120, IELTS 0 to 9. The costs are country dependent, so you'd have to check the website, put in your country and location, and then you would see the price for your location. Both tests are acceptable, so the best thing to do is to consider the format of the both of them to decide which one is better. Don't write one because your friend told you to write it. Some people would do really great in TOEFL, but would be average in IELTS, and vice versa. So I think it's best to just consider the format of both programs. TOEFL is a bit more, should I say, structured. Like you're able to use templates to structure your answers. But IELTS, it's more like you're more independent in IELTS to figure out how you want to answer your questions. So depending on your personality and which one you think will work best for you, you should pick one of the tests. So in case you want to write GRE, not for Erasmus, because that's not really smart, but in case you're like applying for it's like a PhD or something, GRE has like 3 sections: verbal, quantitative, and co-writing. Cost is about $220. I think it's also like region specific. So your studies for GRE should be focused on the syllabus. There's a syllabus for GRE, and there are a lot of like online communities you can join to get like access to prep materials and tutorials. That in case you are looking for one, you can reach out. There are a lot of like online communities for GRE studies, and your practice is more focused on time management and like specific ways to answer questions, and not really like just broadly studying textbooks. So for all of the tests, your focus is more on the structure of the questions and how to answer them fast enough, and not necessarily just like pouring through textbooks or something like that. So I left 2 additional resources. There's like a really good article on writing SOPs, and then I sort of curated TOEFL prep materials, free materials for anyone who's interested. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Prosperity. We really appreciate that. If you can you drop the URLs for those links in the chat, or are you happy for us to email people the slides? You can just drop the URL since they can't click on the screen and
I think we can share the slides
with everybody that's signed up.
Okay, I'll drop the URL.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Please, if we could appreciate Prosperity, some virtual claps, and emojis and all. Fatima, enjoyed your presentation. Connect with her on LinkedIn. Oh yeah, surely. Actually, you guys can download your Taufik, Prosperity, and Nasir. If you have the LinkedIn app and you click on the search bar, there's a little square that you could download the QR code for your LinkedIn profiles. So if you could do that and send that to me, I'll project them on here so that people can scan it and connect it with you guys. Or maybe you can just drop the URLs of your LinkedIn profile so people will connect to you. So thank you so much, Prosperity. That was lovely and comprehensive. There are some questions in the chat. I think Prosperity would answer that and Taufik. So next, last but definitely not least, is the other day he sent me a message. He said, "Ma, I've forgotten your boy." I said, "I've not forgotten you." It's my pleasure to invite Nasser to take over this stage now and just share with us on aspects of the webinar like CVs and much more. So please, if we can have virtual appreciation to welcome Nasser, that would be great.
Thank you very much, Ma. I really am grateful for this. Hi everyone. So my name is Nasser, like I introduced earlier. So and I'm talking about CV, which is one of the most important documents and first contact to your details. So let me share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen? Hello.
Yeah, sharing LinkedIn chat.
Okay, okay. Oh yeah, I just wanted to
Yes,
confirm.
you can
Okay,
see.
okay.
Yes, yeah, you can.
Okay. Uh, okay. 1 minute, please. Okay. Okay, yeah. So basically I'll be talking about CV and how to um align your CV and your skills and work experience towards um achieving your goal in Erasmus Mundus application. So yeah, as Scholar Taufik and Scholar Prosperity have done well in explaining about Erasmus Mundus. So I'll just go straight to the point about CVs. Yeah. So before I start, actually, I just have a few programs here that are related. I don't think someone spoke about them that are related to biomedical engineering. So we have the Mbiome program, which I'm currently in, but is yet to be opened. Here we have the EMA also, which is medical technology and healthcare business. You can find all these programs also in the catalog. Also, we have Maya, which Albert Scholar Taufik did in 2023, but they stopped funding currently, but maybe they might open, who knows. And also we have Neurodata, which Scholar Prosperity is currently running, and the deadline is February 5th, 2025. Also, we have Masters in Artificial Intelligence, which has a deadline of 31st of December. And also this program, the sixth program, Masters in Physiology and Medicine, is a new program, I think, yeah. And talks about, it's about medicine. If you're interested in space stuff and medicine, you can check it out. Definitely, there are also other programs related to biomedical engineering for people interested in tissue engineering or maybe robotics. There are programs that are related to that. You can also look for those programs. And most importantly, what is important in these programs is like Scholar Prosperity said, the requirements, very important to read them. It's not just about applying or just going straight to where will I apply. Very important to read the requirements and how to go about it. Some programs is important to also check if they are still offering scholarships or not. Very, very important. So you don't waste your time trying to prepare your application towards that program and end up finding out that it's a self-funded program. Yeah. Yeah. So going to CV. As we all know, like I said, CV is like the first point of contact for anyone, whether you're applying for a job or scholarship or whatever it is. What they want to see first is your CV, and they want to know more about you through your CV. So, but for the European Union, and for Erasmus Scholarship, all programs, some programs will not say it, but they expect you to use the Europa CV system, which is a general CV format for in European Union. So even if you it was not stated in the program, it's important for you to use the Europass CV format. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. I'm going to show you how to create an Europass CV quickly. Okay. So if you're creating your Europass CV, you just have to go to the website and just, for instance, just type Europass CV. And I'm very sure the first thing that comes up is the Europass CV website. And then you click on it and go to Europass CV. Yeah. So from here, you can always decide to register or log in or whatever if you have an account or not. Or you can also create a CV directly if you want. I mean, so basically, you just input it's a very easy to use system. You input your information, your details. I don't know if I should start all this because it's kind of a lot of info. But basically, this is where you input all your information, then you click next. Yeah, so I saw a question now, but okay, let me just do this quickly. Oh, no, let me do it. Takes a lot of time. Yeah, so when you input your information, you save, then you click next. When you click next, you get where you see sections where you can add, and you can add a lot of sections. And if you want, you can decide not to add any section. But when you finish this personal information page, you can always download after this page, actually. So when you download, you can always come back and upload it, then edit it again, upload and edit again, upload and edit whenever you want, and add more stuffs or you want to remove more stuffs. Yeah, but the most important thing is this. There are, after you finish creating your CV, you can have like about, I don't know, 6, 7 pages for some people, and some people maybe more or less, who knows. But for me, I always advise people when they download their Europa CV. Okay, let me share an example. When they download their Europa CV, to edit it, because whenever after you download, you would see like you see a lot of spaces, and some stuff might not be relevant to you and stuff like that. So it's yeah, I've also seen people that did not edit. I mean, they used it like that, 7 pages, 8 pages, like that. But for me, I prefer to edit and leave it to about 2 pages. Yeah. So you have this biodata info area, which is generic, it's all there. And the next thing you can add is your education. The next thing you can add is your education, which is I advise people to put. You can, okay, for instance, you have all these sections, yeah. So you can decide to use. Yeah, you can decide to rearrange all these all these sections, but just make sure the education is first and the work experience is second. I mean, you cannot put education at the last and that. So I use this format for this arrangement for Erasmus because it's kind of explanatory. So for the education section, of course, you in the Europa CV, you see where to add your CGPA, the university, and the level, and what you graduated with and all. Yeah. And for the work experience section, it's very important that when you are writing your work experience and where you and what you did in your work experience, to emphasize on the impact you made in the work. Like for instance, I managed, I developed, I did this, I did that. So, and not just random sentences that uh, that anybody can write. And also, I've noticed some people, they usually for instance, they you might have people work in a place that they feel is not as relevant enough, but still, if it might not be relevant to them, but it's really, yeah, it's important if you critically look at it. And they can always put the information in the work experience. Yeah, and the research experience and publication. Yeah, you can always put information about your undergraduate research and maybe if you're currently doing a research somewhere or not. And some people, also if you have publications, you can put, yeah, some people, like if undergrad or maybe some just recently graduated students usually don't have publications. So you, in this publication section, you can decide to put your undergraduate project, maybe it's undergoing a review or something, include it there and just put maybe in review or submitted for something like, and put the full details. And some people you can also decide to put projects, like instead of putting publication, you can put project, and the project does not populate the CV. You can include the project and the link. And also here you can see you can put your GitHub link if you have one for if you're in the technical area. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, if the publication is under review, you can put it here, the name, the title, the authors, and put it as under review. Yeah, it's important. So that they can know that, oh, this research is under review. Yeah. Yeah, the next section is more than you can put all the awards and all the awards you achieved maybe during undergrad, maybe coming from I don't know, high school or something like that. You can include them in this section. And some people might like this award section, they put the worth of the award. I personally don't recommend it, especially when coming from countries like maybe Nigeria, because when you convert the worth, it's really not that much, you understand? But I mean, you can always put it there, like, or maybe you're the recipient of this scholarship, you're a recipient of this and this and this, or even if it's even if it's just a, an association award or something like that. It's important as long as they don't know the word. So that's it. Yeah, for the professional development and certification section, this is where you put in some of the courses and some of extra courses and not your school courses, extra courses you've done outside your undergrad and stuff like that.
Nasir, sorry, some people have commented that your voice is a bit low, so I don't know if you're a bit far from the mic. Could you please come closer?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's better.
Yeah, for the professional development section, okay, sorry, I'm really sorry. I had no idea. For the professional development section, you can courses that you have done that are outside your undergrad study that will support your application. I don't know if you like courses from Coursera or private platforms that offer courses. So these courses, for me, what I personally do is I include the course, the name, and the platform offering the course, and then the link to the certificate. Basically, that's what I do. So this helps to give them an idea that you are not only. I mean, it helps to give them this idea that you're clearly interested in this program and you are interested in building yourself outside. Uh, yeah. Also, yeah, one thing I want to before I continue, it's very important to tailor your CV towards each of your applications. Very, very important. For instance, for instance, here I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These were 8 courses. Definitely, I don't have 8 courses. There are more courses. But then, for this particular program, these 8 courses are what is relevant to what I'm applying for. So it's not important. It's not important for you to just put any course or any professional development that does not relate to what you're applying for. Very important. You must tailor your CV for the application you're applying for. Yeah. So for the presentation on conferences, if you have any presentation or conferences you've attended, your undergraduate presentation, maybe you presented in a seminar or your external defense or something like that. You can always include it here in this section. For the volunteering and community service, which is very important, of course, they want to know the places you volunteered and your extracurricular activities you've done that are outside your normal schedule. So you can put it in this section. Professional membership and affiliation, you can include if you want. I mean, it's not almost necessary, but you can include if you want. And here you have the skills and oh my god, a lot of messages are coming. You have the skills and interest section where you put your skills and your interest. Maybe you have digital skills. You can include it in this. Yeah. So, like I said, tailoring your CV is very, very important for whatever you apply. I've seen CVs whereby, for instance, you have there are some people, for instance, let's give a scenario now. You are applying to let's say plant health program, or maybe agriculture. And then you have I mean, due to maybe the situation you are in tech and all this stuff, you understand. So now I'm not saying you should not put that, oh, I am working in tech currently. You can put that, yeah, current work experience. But you are applying to an agriculture program, yeah. Do not populate your CV with irrelevant things. Like, for instance, you went to this pet, for instance, put all over your CV, and then you are applying to an agricultural program. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So try as much as possible. And there are some people you can always try and link where you're currently working to what you're applying to, if there is a way. I mean, maybe in terms of research you're doing, or maybe your work with it in a way, you can always link that if you can. But don't populate it with what is not relevant to where you're applying. I mean, there is no point. So yeah. Also, yeah, okay. Yeah. So now another thing is this. there are two kinds of people here. The people, like when they graduate, they, let me go back to the slide. Yeah, so these are the components we have in the CV. It's just very important to tailor your skills and show your experience. Yeah, now there are two kinds of people when they graduate from undergrad. First of all, the people where they feel like, oh, they have done a lot of stuff. Yeah. And when they do their CV, you can feel like, I mean, you just did undergrad and you have like 10, 8 pages of CV. I mean, I don't think it's I don't think it's that necessary. I'm very sure there will be like a lot of necessary.
Nasser,
Yeah.
if the notifications are disrupting you, can you maybe mute them so that your voice would be on a steady regular, because it feels like it's going low.
Actually, I cannot mute it. I mean, it's popping up.
Oh, okay. It seems like you're coming closer and far to the mic, that's why.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and then there is another set of people that feel like whenever they do their CV, you can have like half a page. Now, for the people that whenever they do their CV, for instance, after that, they have like just feel like hold on, like CV or stuff like that. It's important to know that there are a lot of which you actually thought were not relevant in your study, but there are things you can actually add that will make your CV more, that will make it more presentable and make your CV more, yeah, more presentable. Yeah. One people whereby they have a lot of stuffs, irrelevant stuffs. It's not necessary. It's very important to put balance when don't put too much in unnecessary stuff that are not relevant to your program. I mean, like I said earlier, very important to put stuff that are only relevant. If you're putting stuff that are not relevant, it does not contribute to your maybe when you're grading or stuff like that. It doesn't contribute. I mean, you're just making it more complex to understand the CV. Yeah. Okay. Um, Yeah, like Scholar Taufik said, educational qualifications are very important. Like I said also, the courses, your coursework you did are also very important, and projects you've done during your undergrad are very important to put in your CV. And also, yeah, if you're doing your when constructing your CV, there is also a section for about you or something like that. Yeah. If For me, I did not use it for the about you section. But if you feel you want to put the about you, you can make it short and simple, not too long stuff, because you already have your SOP to give more information about you. So using the about you is more like I don't know. For me, I don't use it anyway. But if you want, you can use it. If you feel you don't have much stuff to put on your CV, you can put to just make it make it a balance. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, volunteering experience is very very important. How you were able to lead and lead and do stuff. So you have to put them in your CV and the date and all and what you achieved. Yeah, it's very important for you to the last and not the least, very important for you to watch the grammar in the CV, very important. And also, when you are done with your CV, it's very important for you to give someone to review, someone someone that has gone through the same process or procedure so that he can give advices on where to remove and where to keep. Yeah, so as not to put irrelevant stuffs or fail to include the relevant ones. Yeah. So yeah, that's it actually. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Can we please give a round of applause for Nasir for that presentation? Do you know, I had no idea that that was the kind of like the CV format. They actually have like a template for a CV format for the European, for the Erasmus Mundus. So thank you for going through that and being very comprehensive. We appreciate you. Can you please send some reactions and emojis to appreciate Nasir? Nasir, if you can stop the share so that, yeah, we could highlight the speakers. Fabulous. Thank you so much, Nasir. We appreciate you. So it's been such a delightful time so far. So we are going to go into the Q&A session. I was just looking at the chat. Somebody was talking about Skumna's scam. Control Alt delete the advice that school is a scam from your head. Okay? Control Alt delete that. So yeah, fabulous. So this is time for our question and answer session. Nasir, Taufik, Prosperity, if you guys can please come on camera, it will be nice to see the faces to the names actually, so that, yeah, so that people can recognize Prosperity. Great. Taufik, where did you go? He's back with his gangster.
Taufik is enjoying his day.
Yeah, I'm here. The day is very bright.
Very dark here.
Yeah, so great. Anybody in the audience? Can you do you have any questions that you want to ask? Precious Jacob raised her hand. Yeah. So
I'm a man. Okay. Okay.
sorry, his
Yeah.
hand.
Good evening. Okay. My question is directed towards topic. You showed us how the Erasmus works and the programs, and they seemed okay. I forgot. I didn't introduce myself. My name is Precious Jacob. I'm a 400 level student of Biomedical Engineering at the University of Lagos. That's penultimate that we've done some. Okay, yeah. So you showed us the programs listed on the site for the Erasmus Mundus, and they felt a bit specific. Do they provide reservations for running dual degrees? Like suppose I want to run something like computer science and biomedical engineering. Are there provisions for that for whatever school you're going to?
Oh, I mean, I think you have to understand the way the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship works. So it's program dependent. So whatever you need, you will see it. Like, for example, I did biomedical engineering. The Erasmus Mundus master that I went for was on medical imaging and application. And trust me, everything we did there is purely computer science. Right now, I usually feel like I'm more of a computer guy than biomedical engineering. So that's one way, right? So one thing I'll tell you is Prosperity right now is doing newer data. So she's applying AI with data from the brain. So that's also an area that is also combining biomedical engineering and AI together. So you will not abstractly see a name that, oh, master in biomedical engineering and computer science. But from the name, you will know what you want. Nasir is currently doing the BME program, and he has option to specialize in AI related stuff and also teach you engineering related stuff. So you have to do your due diligence and look for a program that meets your requirements. You always see that program, right? So that's basically how it works.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
3 people raised their hands. So yes, love it. Let's hear from you.
Okay. Hi everyone. Good evening. I'm Lovett. So I studied production engineering for my undergraduate. Professionally, I have had experience in software engineering, particularly front end, building websites, both, the front end side and then the back end side. So I've always had an interest in data and AI. I've taken some professional courses in it and I've participated in like 2 hackathons for it, right? But the program I'm applying to is majorly geared towards manufacturing. There's a manufacturing mobility track and there's a data science related mobility track, which is AI and machine learning. So my question is, which should I, choose, right? Because they told us to choose when we're writing our SOP. So I'd have to choose the mobility track I want to apply to. So which one should I go to? Since one of them is more geared towards my course of study, which is production engineering, and that's basically like manufacturing and mechanical together. But then the other one is geared towards something I'm interested in, which is data and AI. So how best do you advise me to pick a track? And then I have, when I was writing my CV, I put my experience in a bit of manufacturing because I did my COS in a manufacturing company. And then I also did my final year project, manufacturing related. But then I've also done some hackathons, some MOQs and the rest. So I combined both of them together and put in my CV. But now,
You have a lot of experiences in different streams. What is
yeah,
sort of the question, just so that we give other people a chance to?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So you have multiple experiences and you want to apply for 2 streams. The question is, which should you apply for, or what's the question?
No,
Yeah,
I
which
think
mobility track
question.
should I choose and which experience should I put on my CV?
Yeah, Ms. J, I think I got her question. So the thing is, most Erasmus program, because you have to go to different countries. So your third semester, most of the time, you have the option to choose which country you want to go to based on a particular specialization. So for her, the program she's applying to, I think they have different specializations. So probably in a certain semester, different people will go to different places based on your choice. So she's having difficulty in deciding which choice will best fit her skill set since had she finished from manufacturing related course, but she also has experience in tech related area. And I think she's more currently interested in tech kind of stuff. So she's trying to get information on which goes well. But personally, for me, what I think is the first thing you should ask yourself is your interest, right? Among the two, which one are you interested in? That's the first thing. So the fact that if I get it right, I think you're applying for the Meta 4.0 program, yeah?
Yes, Meta 4.0, but the one I'm talking about is EMS SA.
Oh, okay, yeah, message. So basically, as long as the course normally requires somebody from your specialization to apply, so you already meet the required background. So if you have sufficient experience in AI related, and that's what you are really interested in, I don't see any reason why you can't go for it, right? So the main thing is you should be able to explain it, the relevant skills you have in this set that drive your interest. So if you can do that explanation and you are really interested in the AI area, I think you should go for that. So you should not limit yourself to say, oh, since your undergraduate is in manufacturing. And also, one thing I also know about these people is your specialization is not also a hard end. At the end, you can pick a specialization, and at the end, you still change it, right? Like after the decision and all, you still have the chance to change it. Or they'll say, okay, we realize that you have experience in this area, and the number of people going for this specialization is high. Will you be willing? I've seen a situation like that. Will you be willing to go in this option instead? So I have a friend that happened to. So I think you should work with the one that you feel is the best fit for you and you're interested in. So that's the most important thing.
Thank you. Nasir and Prosperity, did you also want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, like I think Albert said everything. And what she said, I mean, the program, I think it has both fields where she's interested in. So she can always build on what she wants specifically and just include the other one as a skill. Yeah.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you.
I
Perfect.
think I don't know, but I'm like judging based on what I've seen from people like that got into these programs. If she has more experience in manufacturing and she could sell it better, I think it might be better to pick that and then just switch later. I think it's safer. I don't know.
But if she has more experience in manufacturing, but her interests don't really lie there and dedicating to whole
Yeah,
years
but
of
it's still the same program. So if you have
is it?
more, if you have like a lot more experience in manufacturing and you can pitch that to get an edge, I think you should do that. And then eventually you just change your mobility.
Yeah, I
In
think
like,
that works too, right? Though some program
Yeah.
are also very good at to changing though. But yeah, I think at the end, just think about which one you can best sell yourself, right? So because you said you have experience in both areas. So don't just base it from the fact that your undergrad was in the area. That undergrad already gave you a requirement to go for which one. So which one can you sell the most? I think that would be like the best, like Prosperity said.
Great, thank you. Mr. Ibrahim, you can ask your question, please.
Yeah. Good evening, according to Nigeria time. My name is Ibrahim, a 500 level biomedical engineering student from Achieva University. I have the question. The question I want to ask is that, number one, if they require for 2 years experience, do 2 years experience can start counting when you graduated or before? Because for people like us that have been in the clinical setting working for many years now, are they going to consider the previous experience or they will start counting when you present the BNG? That is number one. Number two, at what level is it possible that we just put all the online courses like Coursera courses that we did online, MOK and other certification? Is it necessary that we should put all into the CV, or we just pick the selected one because of the number of the page for CV to upload? Thank you. That is the two questions I have for now.
Hi, Mr. Ibrahim. I think I know you from LinkedIn. I don't know. Yeah.
Of
For
course.
the yeah, for the years of experience, I think Albert can buttress later. But then I don't think a program would restrict you on the years of experience. I mean, for instance, in my program, I have someone that's been working for more than 4 years, so I don't think they would restrict you on the number of years of experience that someone has had. But maybe Albert has more experience on cases like that. I don't know. And for the courses someone has done, you can include the ones that are relevant to the program you're applying for. And also you can provide links. And you can also use Albert's approach where he puts link to his website so you can see all the courses he has taken. I don't have a website for myself, but he has, and he did that. So you can also use that approach so as not to populate your CV with much courses. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. But sir, please, what to choose a particular university for the program? I'm trying to check it through the Erasmus catalog, but the internet is not very strong where I am presently. So, what of the choice of the university that you want to run the program? Is it the scholarship organization that choose for you, or you choose it through the application through the?
Yeah, it's fixed actually, except programs where you have to do tracks. For instance, some programs, the tracks, you have to do it in a separate country and you have to choose that yourself. But apart from that, the universities are fixed already, where you do the program and I don't know if you understand.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Did anybody want to weigh in before I call on the next person? No, okay. Ethel, you can unmute to ask your question.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. I have two questions. The first one was about the last presenter. He talked about the maximum pages for the CV. So when I was exploring the website for the Erasmus, some of the program they didn't specify like the number of pages for the CV. So my question is, should we just stick to the 2 pages and for us to be safe? And another question is about the motivation letter. So I understand that the previous presenter as well, she explained well about the statement of purpose. So my question is, should it be like 50-50, maybe writing something like a personal statement 50% and the statement of purpose 50%, or maybe we should focus on the research part, maybe 70% to 30%. So I just wanted some clarification on that. Thank you.
For the SOP, I think what you would add is really dependent on what the prompt is. So like I showed in the slide, the prompts are different for different programs. But I would say maybe you can do it 70-30. If the prompt is not very specific about what you should include, and you should focus more on research and professional experience, and then just a bit about personal experiences, maybe as a way to introduce the first paragraph or something. And then your second question was about CV. Yeah. So I think generally I would say maximum of 3 if they don't specify, but if they do, then just stick to the number that was specified. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Did anybody else want to contribute to that answer, or you're good, Nasir and Taufik?
Yeah, I mean, quick one. I think as Prosperity said earlier, there's no one hard way to doing this, right? So the most important thing is you have to keep it concise. Don't put things that are not relevant. Put things that are exactly to the to your stuff. So if you feel like you have the whole wanting full experience, you can decide to have 10-page CV, but don't do that, of course. So yeah, if not, generally 2 to 3 pages are usually perfect.
Great, thank you. Juma Yaya, you can ask your question.
Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Juma Yaya, a recent graduate from Biomedical Engineering, University of Ilorin. I'm actually quite familiar with some of the presenters, so thank you so much for that eye-opener. It was great. And to Engineer Lydia, I've heard a lot about you, but I didn't have the privilege to meet you. So thank you so much for organizing this. So I would like to go straight to my question. When I checked the Erasmus catalog, I got stuck, but I thought this webinar would pave way for my question, so let me just ask it instead. I saw some phrases like you would have to move to several countries, like 3 countries or 4 countries. And from my research about scholarships, I best believe Erasmus Mundus is an external scholarship, and I'll have to like apply some other schools before I can. I don't know. Albert explained in one of his videos somehow about external scholarship that you have to apply to some other schools. Then you have to use the Erasmus scholarship that you want to like continue. But I didn't get any answer like that throughout the throughout the webinar. So I don't know if my question is quite clear, because I don't understand the phrase of 3 or 4 universities, and I still don't understand how I would apply, how Erasmus Mundus is an external scholarship. Yes, I think that's quite clear. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think this question is directed towards me. It's like straight bullets to me. So I mean, in my video, actually, I list external scholarship, but the example I made that you applied to for the scholarship and also another school is based on Chevening. So Erasmus is an external scholarship for sure. However, it's different from other external scholarships. So when you're applying for the Erasmus, you're already, in a way, you are not applying to the school yet, but the officials managing the application are from those schools. So how it works is simple. When you apply for Erasmus, you don't need to apply to any of the schools, just apply to that website. So only those that are selected now, towards your resumption, they will give you information on how you can now register to all those other schools to be a registered student for the school. So right now for Erasmus, while you're applying, you don't need to worry. You just have to apply for the scholarship because the officials of the scholarship are people from that school already. So don't worry about applying to the school separately.
Okay, thank you very much.
Has your question been answered?
Yes, very well, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Precious and Ibrahim, your hands are still on. I don't know if it was
Yeah,
from
I had another question.
one. Before
Okay,
you ask the question, no, hold on. There's some questions I will bring you in the chat. So Benga asks, can I use police clearance certificate with residence permit as a proof of residence?
I mean, most of the time people ask questions on police character certificate. It's usually based on visa application, so that's why it's quite funny it coming here because we often do it when we want to apply for visa like Spanish visa. So I'm surprised. Basically, like I said, the feature of the certificate of residence, you have to meet that feature. That is, it has to clearly show the address where you are living. It has to be able to talk about you. And if police character certificate, I'm trying to remember the content of my police character certificate, but the only thing I'm remembering right now is bunch of fingerprints. So I'm not really sure how it looks like.
I don't think.
Yeah, I hate so it's because I don't see any like content for you to want to use it, right? So it has to contain the actual address where you live, right? So that's why I shared a template of what a typical certificate of residence should look like. Some program will accept you to collect to take an affidavit from the court, but recently most programs are already against that. They will be like it is something that is certified by you, but they want something that is not certified by you, where you say, I live here, then you now take it to the court. So that's like an affidavit. So if you can avoid that, it's good to avoid that. If you can't, you should ask the program to be sure if they will accept it, right? Even I make mention of LASRA, for example, for those in Lagos. Most programs don't accept it, but there are some programs that won't care to accept it as well. So if it's difficult for you to get a certificate of residence from your workplace or from your local government, you should just email the program coordinator to tell them this is what you have. If it's something that they can don't go with, fine and good. But yeah.
Thank you. Is anybody?
Just to buttress what Taufik said, actually, since we don't have only Nigerians here, for instance, for we that come from Nigeria, our ID, our national ID doesn't have our I don't know if it has the address, but some countries, their national ID usually have the address, and they can use that as residence certificate. Because same thing happened for someone in my program from Egypt also, I think. So, but the person used the national ID, which has all the information about address and all.
Okay. There was another one. Most organizers say they don't care about the length of CV if it's not included on their website. I think Prosperity had answered that, right? That if they don't specify maybe a maximum of 3 and all. The thing is, they just probably spend seconds scanning your CV and all. So you don't go and do like a 10-page and all. Nobody will look at that. That's if they don't even use is it applicant tracking system or something to save things out. So I think just stick with it, except maybe academic jobs, higher end lecturers and all of that go beyond that 3-page limit. Typically it's 2 pages of CV that are required. Listing everything you've done in your life and all of that will not give you a competitive edge. So yeah, make it succinct and make it work for you. Yeah, okay, Precious, you can ask your question.
All right, yeah, thank you very much. I wanted to ask, is it possible that you start processing this application before you graduate? Or do you have to wait till your entire result and transcript is complete before you start applying? Like, can you apply while you are in your final year?
Hello. Well, I applied in my final year, so of course you can. specifically for the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, you can apply in your final year. I remember back then, I applied in my final year. I even made it to the interview, but I was not selected. So how you go about this is simple. You need transcripts. So you can simply ask your school to give you a transcript from 100 level to the current level you are, right? Your transcript that is available, and that's enough. Then for your certificate, you request a letter from your school to say that you are currently in your final year and you are likely to graduate at this so date. So I was able to get this letter from the University of Illinois, and I was able to apply for the Erasmus scholarship in my final year. So, and I know some scholars that also got the award in their final year. So yeah, it's possible.
I thought somebody mentioned a 2-year work experience requirement, or is that not applicable to all Erasmus programs?
No Erasmus program has this requirement. I think that's more of training requirement, right? So not Erasmus.
I thought Ibrahim said something about that, and he said he had 5 years, so that's why I assumed. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Please, we will be getting the slides after the session.
I think I've answered that question, that the recording will be put on YouTube, and the slides, you would see them on the YouTube. We will not be emailing the slides to the emailing list where you got the details. So it's going to be put on the YouTube channel, and you can see everything that was presented. Mr. Ibrahim, you wanted to ask a question?
Yes. Please, I have a question on the recommendation letter. If the two recommendation letter are coming from academy, is it okay, or one need to come from professional field?
I think
that
it's
is number one.
Scholars can answer. That's number one.
Then number two, and that is number one. Are we to upload the recommendation, or do we send it through the link to the recommender so they can complete it and upload it?
For the first question, yes, you can have 2 recommendation letters from academia, or you can have one from academia, one from work. So yeah, 2 from academia is fine, except they explicitly state that it should be 1 from academia, 1 from work. But if they don't, then it's fine. The second question. What was the second question? What was the second question? Sorry.
The second question is that are we going to during the application, do we need to upload the letter, or the recommender will upload the letter by themselves?
Okay, I think it differs, but most of the time the recommender would upload the letter themselves. So you would provide their details, like their email address, phone number, and then they will be contacted and they will be the ones to upload it.
Oh, okay, because the reason why I asked is that, these days, concerning this recommendation letter, I've watched a lot of video concerning the recommendation letter issue. So sometimes, if you don't want the recommendation letter to be sent lately, or sometimes maybe the person may ask you to draft the letter. If the person asks you to draft the letter, how do you want to draft the letter that you are not going to be over-exaggerating? Because now you ask me to draft the letter for myself and bring it to your table, so they will put it on the letter-headed paper for me, sign, and they upload it. How will I do it that at the end of the day, when they read it over there, they will not see the tone that, is it not the same applicant that wrote this letter? Because there's an element of tracing it. Because if you give it to somebody to write the recommendation letter for you, the way we think is totally different. And you cannot expect the lecturer to write the recommendation the way students will wrote it, especially in the era of AI these days. You just enter it into the AI and start download everything and give it to the lecturer. How do you want to do this? Because these are the issues we are facing now. Recommendation letter is becoming difficult to get. Thank you.
Okay, that's actually a very valid question, because I think people get into trouble for writing the letters themselves. Like if the 2 letters sound alike, they could detect and you could get into trouble for that. So I would say, if the 2 lecturers you approach told you to write the letter yourself, you have to be creative. I'm sorry, you have to find a way to make the 2 letters sound different. And then you can, should I say, exaggerate or put whatever you want. It's now up to the lecturer to decide if they want to put their name on it. They could obviously take out some things if they feel you are exaggerating or whatever. So
sometimes they don't go through it. It's not all the lecturers that go through it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's not all the lecturer that go through it.
I
I'm
think
just telling you this from
Well,
experience.
then I think you can try not to exaggerate, but say good things about yourself, right? But don't overdo it. Just like say good things in a way that it was. I mean, there are many templates online, so you could check templates online to have an idea. And say good things about yourself, but don't like overdo it. And also try to make the letters sound different. One thing you could do is to tell someone else to write the letter, and then you would edit it, something like that, if you feel they will not go through it.
I mean,
Okay.
personally, I think it's actually ethically wrong for you to write your own letter of recommendation. But however, what you can do is to give your lecturer a template to ease the access for them. That is a format rather, based on you are the one applying for the scholarship. You know what the scholarship is all about. So we call it more of like a format or a template, not necessarily like writing it. So if the lecturer should say you wrote it and the lecturer did not bother checking it, I mean, that's ethically wrong, right? So I think that's the first thing. So secondly, when you draft your format, one thing you should do is just because you want to get the scholarship, you don't have to start exaggerating, right? So what you should do is you are talking based on, you are trying to explain this based on the level the lecturer know you. So I don't see any exaggeration that should be there, right? It's either the lecturer know you in this level or he does not know you in that level. So talk about the level the lecturer know you. If you now start talking about how you do this, and you didn't do it, that's when exaggeration actually enter. But if you talk based on the level the lecturer know you and you use good English and good features, I think that's totally fine for the lecturer to take through from there. So yeah, and I don't think any lecturer will just put his name on a letter that without going through it. But I mean, it is what it is. But I doubt that should be the case. But yeah, just make sure you don't lie. I think that's the main thing.
On behalf of lecturers, you people should cut off some
Thank
slack.
you.
I was making laugh like, yeah, the thing is, I think I saw an article where the person was talking about Nigerian lecturers and all of that, and I think I had a discussion with some of my mentees. I think you're always looking at it from your perspective, but not from the other perspective. Sometimes you ask for references. The references are due in a day or so. You'll be like, "Hello, ma." You not say anything. You'll be waiting for the person to respond. The person may not have the chance to be chatting back and forth with you. I would say if you're requesting for a reference, tell the person, ask for the reference, give the deadline, attach a copy of your CV, attach a copy sometimes of your ultimate career goal, attach a copy of maybe your personal statement or your statement of purpose. Equip them with so much information that if they need to look at it and all, they already know. Because you don't know how busy they are or the time that they have to deal with these things. Be if you're a lecturer, for example, in Nigeria, you're teaching, you're marking, you're being a level advisor. That's just your life in academia. They have a whole life outside that place. To be honest, yes, we need each other and all to group, but also look at it from the other point of view. There was a time that I was writing a reference for Nasser. I think it was at midnight. And I'm like, he was asleep. And I'm like, Nasser, I'm writing a reference for you and you're sleeping. What are you doing sleeping? Wake up and answer my questions because I needed it. Right now, I have close to how many references and all that I need to write. And I'm extremely busy. I also have deadlines. I also have things and all to do. So you have to bear that in mind. Furnish them with deadlines and all the information that they need. If you're asking me to write a reference for you and I have to be going back and forth with you and all of that, it's like you're not serious. So give them all the information and all they need. And yes, people's personality, some would not want to write it. Why? Because um the US has the thing that if you get the admission, I don't know what it's called, you can ask for a copy of the letter, I think that was being used, and nobody wants to contribute to maybe you not getting an admission or so. So on the side, some lecturers will want to write what you want me to write so that you know hold them responsible if, for example, you do not get the offer. So also think about it from the other perspective and all. And that's why we say that start early to sort of build a rapport so that they have so much to say that they have to cut down. I'd rather write a reference for somebody that is a full page. I don't like writing it very scanty and all. And also bear in mind that some of the lecturers may not be aware of the requirements for references for the schools. So furnish them with those information. If you say a typical reference in Nigeria sometimes may not even be used, so it can be 2 lines and all of that, and that is sufficient for a Nigerian system. That is not sufficient for an abroad system. So sometimes don't assume that they know, and don't assume that they'll go and do the research on your behalf. Furnish them with all the information and all that they need. And I guess as you relate with people, you tend to know if this is a kind of person that you can use to be a referee or not. So that's what I'll say. But cut us some slack. We are trying. um, somebody asked a question. Was it Olu? Yeah, somebody said, "What does this thing mean? Mobility track. What does it mean? If you guys can explain it." Ah, all of you silent. What is it?
I, to
The
the
question
best
is
of my knowledge, mobility track is basically the countries you would go within the program. So yeah, that's just it. I mean, basically that's just it.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I think the question it's like mobility track is the basis of Erasmus, right? So you are not going to be in one place throughout your master's. You're going each semester in most programs or after 1 year, you have to go to the general rule of Erasmus is that you must spend at least you must do your master in at least 2 different countries, at least. So which means every Erasmus program, no matter what you do, you are going to visit 2 different countries during the course of the program. So these are mobility. Some program it could be 3, it could be 4, depending. Like for me, in my program, my first semester was in France, my second semester was in Italy, and my third semester was in Spain. So those are what we call mobility in Erasmus. So that's the essence of Erasmus is the mobility. I think that's why we're all silent because I mean that's like the basics of Erasmus in general.
So yeah, but people are coming. You have 100 level students and all that, so you can't assume that somebody is at the level, to
I
know.
think for track, the person probably is also referring to the fact that you have to like choose a track at the end. Like sometimes in some programs, not everybody goes to all the countries. You choose a track that will take you to a particular country, usually in your second year or towards the end. So that could also be in mobility track, like which of the countries, which of the specializations do you want to choose, which would then take you to a particular country.
Great. And do we have any other Benga has a question, and then I'll ask you some questions to just help the audience. Yes, Benga.
All right, thank you so much for this exceptional webinar. It's been insightful. Okay, my question is actually I asked earlier that I'm currently doing my master's, which is related to one of the Erasmus program that I'm planning to apply for. And I asked if I can put it in my CV, which I got the clarification. But however, in the document upload, do I need maybe an evidence that truly shows that, okay, I'm currently doing my master's? Is it necessary? Because it's a research-based master's. If it's necessary, could a transcript that is showing just the research module be enough, or it's not necessary at all to put an evidence of transcript or anything that, okay, I'm currently doing my master's?
Okay, now so you can go.
First of all, if the question is your master's related to what you want to apply for? I mean, that's like the first question. If yes, or you want to include it, you can always use the transcript, because since you're still undergoing the master's, you still have like the results are not out. You can use the transcript in maybe when you're uploading your transcript section, and also you can include the information in your education education section and just tell them still ongoing. I mean, there's a way you can put it to explain to them that it's still ongoing. I don't know if Taufik wants to buttress on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? The thing is, if you are reporting an education, you have to put the transcript, right? So if you are just starting the master, that's why I asked you on the chat that, are you just starting the master? If you are just starting the master, such that there is no way you finish it before the Erasmus, then it's best you don't put it, because you are trying to tell them that you have the potential of starting something and run away from it, right? But if it's something that you know that you are going to finish before the master, putting it will fortify your CV. But in your SOP, you have to also explain why you need another master's, right? But that's all in all. So if you are putting it, that means currently you are going to your second year now, which means you already have a transcript for your first year. If that is the case, you have to put your transcript. Once you put an education, you have to put the transcript. And you cannot put part of the transcript while you remove part out. Maybe you only select the research base. That is like tampering with the transcript, right? And transcript is an official document. So you have to submit the transcript of all the courses. It's left for them to figure out which one is more relevant for them or not, but you have to put all the transcript.
That's great. Thank you. All of you have the same bachelor's degree from the same uni, but all of you did and are on different Erasmus streams. I want you guys to talk about the importance of upskilling in terms of gaining skills that were relevant for you getting these scholarships. I saw somebody mention about their degree was not classified, and there was a response to it, and the response was maybe get it on West, and the person said they cannot afford West. And whilst I sympathize with their person's situation, I know on another side, as young people, we need to have the mindset of investing in you and giving people a reason to invest in you. So if a scholarship that has the potential to give you 1,400 euros every month for 2 years, apart from the prestige and other things, I don't know how much a West is, but I don't think it's more than $200. Is that such a small price to pay? Even if it means going and doing some jobs, carrying blocks and all of that, you're investing and all into your life. So I want you to talk about that. Some of the investments that you've made in terms of maybe payments to get skills, learning to code. Learning to code, you probably spent money buying data and all of that, whether it was Coursera and all of that. If you guys can just talk about those experiences, because it's easy for people to say, all of you had a first class and all of that, but it wasn't just the first class. There were things that you did that helped you upskill, and then you got into the different streams that you're doing. So yes, and part of my goal for saying this is for you guys to know that you have to give people a reason to invest in you, and we need to get out of this mentality of having things for free. Erasmus it's a competition with many people from everywhere in the world. If you put those 1,400 times 12, how much is that? 10 months is 14,000 euros, right? Times 2, 28,000 euros. So what, just under 34K? That I don't know about the fees and all of that, 34,000 pounds or so that is going to be invested in you. You need to give them if it's a business, it's like you're pitching for a business, you need to give them a reason to select you over others. So if you guys can just talk about some of those skills and not to break that a wolf mindset, and also to show the kind of investment that sometimes you need to make in your life to give yourself a competitive advantage, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, I think I can go with this. I mean, seeing the kind of money Nasi and Prospective is currently collecting, oh boy, God, well, no. Okay, that being said, you guys are big boys actually. So, yeah, basically, I'm I'm not always ashamed to say this, right? So I myself, I'm from a very humble background, and that's simply the truth. So during my bachelor's, for those that know me, they know that I was teaching IJMB classes and secondary school and some private tutorials for some lecturers' kids in staff quarters where I do stay. So but I mean, I remember my international passport. I got it in my final year, and I got it from the money I got from the private tutorial and IJB lessons that I did. I saved them up and I used it to do my international passport. So there's always something you could do. And then I needed to take TOEFL as well. Back then, I remember I didn't have the money. So I still have to save up the money. I started my NYSC. So I saved little part of it, and then my sister gave me another part of it, which was not up to half of the money, but I was very grateful then, right? So basically, sometimes you just have to like show that push, even if eventually you can't raise everything with the potential you have, you'll be able to like do something. Because I remember afterwards when I wanted to take when I wanted to pay an application fee, a senior colleague of mine, I mean, not a colleague, like I was working with him on a project. So he was a professor in Saudi Arabia, and I was working with him on a project. Just simply because of that enthusiasm I have in that project and all, he volunteered to pay the application fee waiver for me. I didn't even ask him or anything. Then, and he paid for it, right? And when I was also traveling, he kind of supported me. So that's for you to know that sometimes you have to also like show some push in whatever you are doing, and then God will always also send someone around your way. And for me, one changing moment for me mainly was during the COVID, right? So I was literally in my final year when the COVID started, and a lot of people, like, we are asked to leave the school premises. So I was in staff quarters. I never went home all through the COVID. It's like a 1 year period. It's like exactly 1 year of break. I didn't go home all through. And why didn't I go home? Because I needed data. And in staff quarters, they have the Wi-Fi, the university Wi-Fi that I could use. I know if I go home, I won't be able to afford numerous amount of data to take courses on Coursera. So I didn't go home. Some of my friends too didn't go home. I accommodated them in staff quarters just to motivate ourselves. And we all go to vet every day to take courses on Coursera. Eventually, before COVID, I never had any certificate on Coursera. But after COVID, I had almost 30 certificates from Coursera. And I have a friend that had almost 50. And we are not just talking about just taking the certificate. We are actually like practicing it and doing projects on it. So these are like some sacrifice you have to make. This is a time where a lot of people are with their family and all, but I sacrifice that just to get what I want to get. So sometimes making sacrifice in this area is usually like, it's something you can't avoid. This is eminent. Even paying application fee, like at some point you have to like find a way to pay it. So it's not always difficult. It's not always simple for most of us. Before we get to where we are, it's not because we came from like a very big family, to be honest. It's just the grace of God and the fact that we keep pushing. So regardless of what it is, the situation currently is not easy, but you just have to keep pushing, and at the end it will just work out when you least expected it. But don't give up. That's like the take home.
Thanks, Taufik. Prosperity and Nasser, who wants to go next?
Basically, I mean, I don't think everyone can have enough. I don't think so. So currently now, I think the situation in Nigeria might be harder than when we did our stuff. Yeah. But actually still, at the time let me use myself. At the time I was doing my stuff, still some things were expensive for me. Yeah, it's more expensive now, but then at that time it was more expensive for me actually. So like for instance, I know when I was doing my service here, that was when I saved up to do my TOEFL exam. Yeah, now I mean the TOEFL is like way higher now, but still, I mean, it was part of the sacrifices. Also, I remember before I did. I mean, the thing is, before some of us from the background we came from, imagine telling someone you want to do a passport, they'll be like, where why do you want to do a passport? Like they don't even understand like how it's good. And passport is like the list of your problems actually. So and then they will be like, we have you have to do passport, but thinking more about other things you have to do. So you how do you start explaining, oh, you have to do this, you want to do this and this. So at that time I think I was doing, I think if you know, I was doing some installations for solar. So that was where I could do my passport. And yeah, and some of the courses I took for Coursera, definitely I never paid. I mean, I applied for application waiver and stuff. And for applications for graduate school, I never paid any application fee actually, which was limiting actually. But I mean, I just focused on applications that did not require an application fee because I mean, where will I get the money from? So that's it for me. So the sacrifice is very important.
I guess I would focus more on leveraging opportunities because there are still a lot of free opportunities available. So for one, I got a data scientist certification from DataCamp because Ingressive for Good, I don't know if you guys know, Ingressive for Good, I4G, they were giving scholarships for DataCamp. And so I got the scholarship, and I think the requirements was that you had to complete a certain number of courses by graduation, then you would have like a much longer access for like 2 years. So I just had to like try to complete all of the courses and get the certification. Also, for like I said, my program, I said when I was talking about SOPs, in the interview, they specifically asked if you have foreign experience. So the only foreign experience I had was an internship I did with a lab at the University of Chicago. So I think I saw the ad on a random WhatsApp group and I applied and then I got in. And the benefit of the internship was that at the end we got some money that we could use for standardized tests. So it was the money from the internship that I used to pay for my TOEFL and a bunch of other stuff. So I think people should always be on the lookout for opportunities because there are still free opportunities, but you have to like be on the lookout for them and just like shoot your shot and giving your best, even if it looks like it's not a lot. Because I remember when I saw the application form for the internship that I did, it didn't look like it was a lot. It didn't look serious, but eventually it turned out to be super beneficial. I mean, even in my application, I the work I did there sort of helped me. I wrote a bit about it in my SOP and things like that. So just be on the lookout for opportunities.
Yeah, actually, there are a lot of opportunities. Also, like the Mike Taiwo scholarship for application fee or something. Yeah, I remember then we almost like 100 people in like one certain group who were applying for Mike Taiwo scholarship, and all of us were seeking the same. I mean, the slots were very little, but it was the motivation that everybody was applying for the same thing. And we all knew that, of course, they can't give everybody, yeah, but still, we're just motivating each other and say, oh, this is this. And we did the exam and still, some of us failed. Not like failed, I mean, the number of people that applied were like too much. So, I don't know. And yeah, there are other external even
I think
we were
iScholar is,
also, yeah, iScholar too. They offer, yeah, application
and
fee.
one and Faro or something for Muslim, something that Farouk got one time like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are a lot of so you just
Also,
have to,
I think Dr. Muiwa, he does for passport. I also,
yeah, during his birthday. So he
yeah.
usually do for passport and yeah.
I think I've
So
seen one on Twitter too. I think they call themselves Sporsome. I think they sponsor for passports and all. Basically, somebody mentioned Almu Fasir Foundation also. That's great. So basically, there are many platforms and opportunities that could support here, but it needs a lot of research. It needs a lot of preparation, and you need to give them a reason to invest in you. So if you want this, like start mapping your pattern, put in your best, and keep improving. And it's important to give yourself time. As you can see, these things are comprehensive. They take a lot of time, they take a lot of effort and all. And you can spend maybe 3 days, full on days and all on these applications. As Tafik mentioned in the chat, they may not spend more than 10 minutes on your application, right? Remember, they are looking at thousands of applications usually. So what is it about you that they should sort of invest? Look, think of it as a business. Why should they invest in the product of you? Why should they choose you above others? So you're competing with people from all over the world, and it's their money. They can do what they want to do. So start early, network, do your research. Don't expect to be spoon fed. Upskill when you need to. If, for example, you're still an undergraduate, give yourself like a plan to grow and all. And yeah, so Nasir.
Taufik, she until I cast the amount where they receive, but
Oh, guys, thank you. Taufik has just thrown me off my line of thoughts. But thank you so, so much, everybody. I mean, many people have started with us and they've stayed on through like 2.5 hours of just, yeah, being here, learning and all of that. And it's been really good. I enjoyed myself. Thank you so much, Prosperity, Nasir and Taufik, for your time. We really, really appreciate the knowledge and all that you spent. I mean, people they gave you lots of years of experience just in over 2 hours and all. Please don't dull on this. I just want to share this now for feedback. If you can actually I'll copy this and drop it in the chat. If you can please give us your feedback so that we can know how to improve, and if you want to drop ideas for maybe suggestions for free webinars that you want us to organize, why not? We'll be happy to help out. Yeah, you're welcome. I can see appreciation everywhere. You're very welcome. Thank you for joining, and we hope that you learned more than a thing or two, several things. So if you can scan the QR, please, or you can go to the link and share your feedback. We'll appreciate that. Thank you. I'll just stop the recording at this point.